Okay, so what we're going to be working on are basically our boat houses and a couple little walls and stuff like that from down on B deck that I gotta install yet. But gotta put windows on these ones. I already drilled out the holes for all of those. I need to cut away the doors so that I can add on the China 3D doors here. So doing that is basically going to be just using the flat blade and cutting it up or down, whichever way seems to be working better for me. I think that's probably the way I want to go. Okay, so I got pretty much all the deck houses doors done, and I'm using the China 3D ones like I said there. I did end up using the photo etch brass from KA for the third funnel housing because it has these doors that have the slides on them, which weren't provided on here, but that's fine. So I'm going to go ahead now and paint the walls white, and then I'll do the ceiling after I get the walls painted. So I want to get all the white basically done for all of these deck houses, and then we'll do our ceilings. So let me go ahead and get them masked up and primed and then painted. So I'll be back. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the deck houses to dry, I decided to go on to the compass platform. So I went ahead and painted the railings. There's a brown wooden railing here, and then there's a black one underneath. I'm gonna have to touch up the white just a tiny bit. I've got a couple little brush marks there, but shouldn't be too big of a deal. Now, the floor in it, at least according to Honor and Glory, was wood. So I'm taking a piece of leftover scaled deck, and I want to kind of keep the theme of having the one board different not pattern, but different what do you call it, orientation, so you know how they're laid. So I'm kind of just eyeballing this to get it right, so that that very first step there, hopefully you can see it, that very first step in there will be this. Ooh, that was good. Got it pretty much dead on. Now I just got to get the length here. So that's a little bit of trimming to fit, basically. It looks like that might actually be pretty dead on. I don't have any glue in there yet, so I'm not going to drop it in. I think I need to trim just a tiny bit more on both the front, a little bit on the side, just to help it snug its way down in there. Alright, so I'm going to kind of guess that that's good, and I'm going to drop a tiny bit of glue into it. Okay, so put a tiny bit of glue down on there. I don't need to go too much. We're not holding anything too extreme. Yeah, I was hoping I could pick that up with the toothpick, but no, not so much. Okay. There we go. Bingo. So that fit pretty darn perfect. I'm real happy with that. So what I'm going to do next is go ahead and cut out the sprue off of it. I'll use the heat knife on this just because these are small fragile pieces. Then I'll get the compass painted up once I break these off, and we'll get that glued up. I have the section that it goes on here, finishing up drying, which actually I think we're about right. It's a little wet still, but I can at least get the tape off and see how we turned out. And if you do tape down on scaled decks, I've learned that you want to kind of pat it against your clothing before you do it. Otherwise, you could potentially pull up your deck or pull up part of the print on it. So, yeah. So that then goes here, essentially. Oops. That kind of goes like that, right on there. So I'm going to get this cut out, and really I'm going to go ahead and start to build this deck up so that I can basically just drop it down on the boat deck. All of these boat houses are basically going to be their own little structure that just drops onto the boat deck as we go. So nothing really too hard with any of it. Just basically putting stuff together and following directions at this point. So I'm going to get this cut out, get that painted up, and touch up my white there, and then we'll take a look how it turned out. Okay, so I got the compass tower up, and then I went ahead and cut out all of our ventilation units. I also put the concrete pads on, which these are part of the KA kit, and then the 3D print here is all China 3D. So they fit pretty close to what the pad actually calls for. A couple of them are a little bit smaller. Went on and looked at Honor and Glory, and that is correct. So KA is wrong on that, but it is what it is. So these couple here are two pieces where you have to glue the ventilator piece on. So I already did that, and it even has a little plate on there, which would have been where the maker tag was, and then one back here too. Really detailed pieces. Also the maker plate is right there, and I gotta look if there's any decals available for that. That would be kind of cool to get them, but I don't know. So what I'm gonna do is take a picture of this. There is a map on the China 3D Facebook page that you can follow. So there's, I think, 4 or 5 different vent sprues that all basically look like this. I tried painting these ones ahead of time. I didn't paint these ones ahead of time. So what I'm going to do with these is basically put them on a piece of painter's tape, and then I'll get them painted up white. And I'm basically going to do everything to this deck aside from the fencing. So I just want to make sure everything else is pretty much set to go. So I'm actually going to do the front like that on one set of painting, and then I'm going to do the back 4 on their own. Just that way I don't have to worry about misplacing or not putting things on the right side. And then these 3 will be their own. I'm kind of putting them in order so I can tell which ones they are when it comes time to take them back off. So I'm going to go ahead and get these sprayed up. I also got to look for the KA pieces, the fencing that goes on them, and what I'm planning on doing, because vents get really dirty really quick, I'm going to end up doing the insides black, and then I'll do the grates kind of a white, but I'll weather them. So that's kind of what my plan looks like. But let me go ahead and get these sprayed up, and we'll be back. Okay, so I have these painted up. They are drying right now. Word of advice, if you use the pink ones, definitely make sure you primer. Even with primer, I'm at 3 coats right now, and they really still are probably going to need one more coat. So just be aware of that if you have the older pink ones. It definitely is a challenge to get the coverage, but yeah, there we are. So I'm going to get those painted, or I'm going to get those dry. I'm going to set this to the side for a little bit. Now, something that we have to do here, and I missed it on the previous section, there are 2 wall pieces that go here and here, or no, I'm sorry, here and here, that I need to cut a larger hole for the window to go through. So I'm going to basically line them up on there, and then I will drill it out and glue them on. I'm looking where I put them a minute. I just had them. Don't get old. You start to become forgetful. So anyway, I'm going to look for them a minute, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut that out and get them glued on so that we can move forward with that whole boathouse. Now, the gray that I'm using for the roofs of all the boathouses is another, what do you call it, Vallejo color, which, there it is called USAF, so U.S. Air Force Medium Gray. So that's what we're going to use for the top of this one, and I want to double check this one because I've seen pictures of this in wood, and I've also seen pictures of it in the gray, so I want to just take a look at what this is actually supposed to be before I make that final decision. So I'm going to get those painted up. Basically, a lot of little things that I'm going to be working on while I wait for these vents to dry, so that I can put the KA vent covers on, which I also have painted here. So yeah, a little bit at a time here. Definitely got a lot going on, and I had to delay the video for part 2 of the motors because the motor mounts have not arrived yet. So I need them before I can get into actually mounting the what do you call it, Stan? The props and the couplers that hold them in. So let me go ahead and start getting this taped off. I'm going to drill these out here and get those walls installed, and we'll be back. Okay, so here we go. We have our vents on. They look really good. They do. I got gray on the insides here, and now I'm going to go ahead and we're going to put the grills on them from KA. So obviously I don't exactly have the size chart on what they are, so I'm going to do best estimation on which one is which. So this here looks like it's the bigger ones, so we're gonna give that a try. I did try to kind of cross-reference it with the directions on the KA set, so I'm not completely going blind here, but you know, when you're cross-fitting things, you never exactly know how it's going to fit, so sometimes it's a little bit of experimentation. So what else I'm going to do is touch a CA on the outer lip here. And it fits, just barely, but it fits. Okay, then we're gonna do our smaller ones, which there's 4 of them, so I'm gonna go with these, which I'm pretty sure are right. So these add a nice little detail, really, because I have the 1350 build and they never really looked right. This kind of gives it that finished look. Yeah, okay, great. So do one more here and then I'll pause it, and then we're gonna come back and start some of the 3rd funnel deck house and the 4th. So I'll be back. Okay, so I started doing the stairs for the compass platform. I forgot to mention them, and I figured it'd be worthwhile just showing again how to do the fold. You basically just want to get your tweezer in here. I might have to get a thinner tweezer. Yeah, hold on. I'll try these. You just want to get your tweezer on there and then simply fold up. Uh-oh, but you don't want to break it. And I might have to retouch a little bit of the paint because it looks like I'm chipping some off as I'm doing this. We got that one. That one there I gotta glue because I don't want to lose my step. They're kind of a pain once you do. So I'm just going to put a little dab of glue right there on it, and I'm going to put some over on this side just to reinforce that a little. Okay, onward. You really need a thin pair of tweezers to do this, but once you get it going, you're basically just flipping them out and getting them up. I've seen a lot of people that don't take this step to actually get the steps folded out on model ships, and I mean, they look better than, you know, what could be there or what most kits include, but they don't quite get that real look of a staircase. So it's a worthwhile thing to do, in my opinion. Now the problem with the brass too, I made a mistake on this one. I did not put my primer on first, so it's chipping quite easily. So I'm gonna have to go back and touch up some of this before I mount them. But pretty much don't break off. Yeah, you're gonna break off, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Okay, so I gotta glue that one. But essentially, there you go. Steps that are there. So I'm gonna go ahead and fix this up, do some touch-up paint, and I'll be back. Okay, so before we move on to what I planned on doing with the 3rd and 4th funnel house, these are the lay-ins that I printed for the windows, or that I didn't print, I'm sorry, that were printed for me from Gene Davis. And they basically are already preset for the side windows, so I just need to glue these in, and then I got to glue the window frames on from the KA set. So I'm going to get these cut out, and I'm going to glue them from behind, that will kind of give it the look that the glass is inset, and the window frame then will be obviously on the outside. So basically I'm just going to get them cut to about the size they need to be. These are small, as you can see, and we're going to use canopy glue so that we don't end up getting frosting going on. And what we're going to do then is just put a dab of glue along the edges and around the window, and then we're going to just drop them on. I'm going to kind of use this to hold that a minute. I don't want to damage my ladders and such. Hopefully this is visible, because I didn't really pre-test this. Yeah, actually I guess it is. Alright, so there. Just gotta move that over a little bit. There we go. It gives us our inset there, so you can see it, which is pretty cool. So I'm gonna go ahead and get the rest of those done, and then I'll come back for the frames real quick. Okay, so here we go with this deck house. So got the windows already in. I covered them pretty extensively in previous video. I did have some tape chip up right here. I had to touch that up, but really not that big of a deal because it fits right in here, and you'll never see it. So I wasn't going to stress too much about like sanding that back down and getting it right back to perfect. So next up, before I put the railings on, I want to do the deck lights. And these are basically just like what we've done in previous video. So they just slide right in, and then we're going to glue them down, and then the light bulbs can get glued into them. One thing, when you drill, a lot of times you end up with that stuff on the inside there. You have to scrape that off, or it doesn't kind of fit up how it's supposed to. So just an FYI. And I'm trying to be careful with this because I haven't clear coated it yet, so it is very prone to scratching. And actually, I'm just going to put a piece of paper towel under here, so that will reduce the risk a little bit. Okay, so we're going to put this in and then glue it in. And for that, I'm just using standard CA. It is resin going to plastic, so that should be what we're using. These really shine through nice too. As I got the boat deck lit, not the boat deck, but I'm sorry, the officers' quarters lit, I was really happy with them. I like these better than, better than fiber optic, as I've been using them more. So highly recommend them. And they're actually, come on, I broke two now. They're actually on sale right now. I have a video showing these, but if you go ahead and order and you've watched the video, there's a promo in there, good until July 5th, so if you're interested in them, it's a good time to buy. And you can get these at BScaleShipJewelry. There we go. gotta try to not break any more of them. That was more than I've broken on any of the other rooms. I mean, there's plenty of extra, but still. Okay, now I'm going to finish out putting these on, and then we have our brass trim rings that go on the outside of them. So we'll put those on, and then we have our grating that goes over the vent grates on the back here, or the top there. Oh, that's not a hole. It looked like a hole. It's just a speck. So I'll get this one in, and I'll pause it and we'll be right back. Okay, so here we are, got this one done. I did this one, I did the roof on this in gray wood, similar to what I did on the bridge. And the reason for that, as I looked more on the Titanic Honor and Glory, you couldn't see up there. However, I went on to Britannic Empress of the Sea, which is the Britannic version of their game, and it is indeed wood on at least on Britannic it was. So I'm going with the wood. I just kind of like the look, and yeah, I think it's okay. So I got the lights already installed in this side. I got to put the actual LEDs into it. I got the lights in here. So that one is pretty much just about done. The only thing I have to do with this is a couple railings, which I think I'm actually going to wait until I actually get them on the ship. Just because I don't want to risk bumping them or anything like that when I go to clamp it down onto the boat deck. So there's that. I do still have to put the light bezels around, which I'm getting ready to do here in a few minutes. They are right here. Same with this one, and I got to put the window frames on here yet. So I'm going to get those on. I won't show that on the video because it's basically the same thing that we've already done about 30 times. And then over here, got railings that will go on still. I left the original railings on, and actually I only did that because they will give them a little bit of a place to help mount the railing, and I've tried it a couple times already and you can't really tell, so I think that'll work. I got the vents here painted gray. I'm getting ready to put the grills over top of them, so we're going to do that real quick, which is very similar to the process that we followed for this vent here, which I don't even know if I showed that on video at this point, but I got that vent there, so I'm going to show this one. So I'm just going to cut these off the sprue. I'm not using the knife I generally like to use for this, so sorry. Kind of doing it goofy. So we're going to get that cut off, and all the pictures I see, these are white grates, but they go down into a big shaft that looked fairly dark, so I went with gray. I didn't go with the black, because while I will have the ship weathered, I still realize that the vent itself was probably painted white, and it probably wasn't completely filthy yet. So yeah, so to do that, I'm just going to put a little bit of glue around the outer edge here, and there's a little piece to kind of catch it on because the kit also had this grill with it as well. And then we're just going to drop it in. Just like that. So there we go. And you can see the darkness behind there. It actually is pretty spot on to what I was looking for, so I'm happy. Alright, we're going to do the same thing over here with this one. And voila. Well, not quite voila yet. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to go ahead and get the windows set on these two pieces and get these light bezels, and then we'll be back. Okay, so this is the final interior brass set, which goes inside here. This is the second class stairwell. So I'm going to work on putting this together. Now, the one thing I got to figure out is the fact that this has deck lights in here. So more than likely, I'm going to end up having to drill holes into here so that I can run fiber optics in it rather than these, only because of the size constraints, and I want to keep a lot of this detail because you'll be able to see quite a bit through those windows. So first thing I got to do is basically just cut it out and figure out how this thing goes together. So I can obviously see which walls go to which with the windows anyway, and then I know that's the flooring or the stairs. So yeah, I'm gonna work on getting this cut out, kind of figure it out, and then I'll come back at you and kind of show what we did and how we did it. So I'll be back. Okay, so I got the walls all in here, so they were super simple, not a big deal. I'll drill the holes out in a minute. I'm gonna have to use a manual drill though. Not a manual, but a electric drill. Then you have your center section that goes in here, and then these are your steps. I gotta paint this up yet, but that just then sits right here. So you have your step going down, landing, step going down, and that'll take you down to the next level. And then there's one more wall that goes back here. But before I do that, I'm going to install my lights back here. And for that, I am going to use the deck lighting kit. So it's only these two that I have to worry about for fiber optics. And then what I'm planning on doing is using one of these larger lights like this that I will basically have go up into this room here, and that should light both rooms. That's kind of what my hope is, and hopefully that's enough to get the lighting for the fiber optics too, and it should be, but that's kind of what my plan's looking like. So I'm gonna go test this out up on the actual deck quick to make sure all of this is going to fit, because I do have electronics being stored down below too, but I think I'm okay. So I'm going to check that out. I'm going to get this painted up, and then to simulate stairs, I'm just going to draw lines here, and I'll use the tile paper like this to go on the flooring. So let me go ahead and get this painted and go test fit this, and I'll be back. Okay, so after re-examining that, I do have room. You just have to cut the piece of the deck where that would go. Not a big deal. That's going to be super simple. And then what I'm going to do, rather than using this big light, I'm going to have enough room where I put these wires, or these lights here, that I'll be able to run this down on top of that, and I should be able to get the wires right along the roof where you shouldn't be able to see them. And even if I can, I'll just take a piece of white styrene maybe and cover it, but I'll conceal them in there. And like I said, there's enough room for me to fit the deck lights in there, and then I'll just run my normal nano lights up into here and get them glued in. And then wiring will come right out of here and go into the smoking lounge. So that's my plan there. So I got that painted, and what I'm going to do for the flooring, just going to use a felt tip, and I'm not going to go crazy with this, just kind of putting a black line across here so it kind of has the look of a step That's essentially all I'm trying to do. And I know they're not to scale, the people would be smaller, yada yada yada, whatever. It's the best I can get with this. I don't know if you'll ever even be able to see it anyway, but it kind of gives you a simulation of it. Alright, so now we're going to get that bent back down. I'm going to glue the flooring on a while. Actually, I think I can just stick it, because this is the sticky type, I believe. I can't tell. Feels like it is though. So, in the meantime, I've been working on redoing this wall. I wasn't happy with it, so I sanded it back down, took the doors off, and I'm going to replace them. I got to paint this roof gray. I have the photo etch ready for that to go, and then we're going to put that together. And that pretty much will be the end of the video. So we're going to finish out this staircase, finish out that, and I have all of the vents painting right now that go on the fourth funnel case housing right here. So yeah, let me get this kind of squared away and we'll be back. Okay, so I got my wiring set for the upper section here, and we're just going to run that right through the hole here. And then we're going to take the staircase, and that's gonna hide all of these wires going down, including the side ones here, which I did end up going with the deck light setup rather than trying to do the fiber optic, just because it's not that visible, and it'll be fine. It'll get better light translation through here, or light eminence, whatever you want to call it. So now we're going to go down the center of the staircase, and I can't mount this yet because I still have to put the railings on, but I wanted to wait until I was just ready to put that in, that I actually did the railings. So I'm just going to make sure I got all my wires tucked in through here, and then I'm going to go ahead and cut the railings out of the sprue and get them installed before I go ahead and attach this in. Now these will go down and then basically underneath all of it, so you won't see them either. Now the railings basically are right here, so I'm going to get them cut out and get them installed, and we'll be back. Okay, so there we go, it's on, all my wires are down in. You can't really see too much of it, I mean, like when it's off the ship, but you will be able to see inside those windows, you know, looking in. So that's actually the back window, so you will be able to see the staircase and a little bit there. So yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and I want to glue that little spot right there where it's connecting to the plastic, and then I'm gonna put the windows on and pretty much be done with this piece, and then move on to here. Got the first coat of paint on, getting ready to do another one. Then I gotta paint the gray roof, and we'll be trucking along. Okay, so here's where we're at so far. Just kind of getting an idea of what we've done so far in this video. Obviously, I don't have the deck under it, as you can tell, but we're going to do this one next and then pretty much wrap up the video. You will notice right here I cut off the wood that was there. I will use either the China 3D or the KA. I got to figure out which one I like better, but the vents really are nice. These are all China 3D. I did not yet put the grills on these, so you can still see what they look like without the grills. These are the Trumpeter funnels. They're not attached, obviously, and they will not be staying. I'm using the China 3D, but yeah, I'm kind of liking this. I mean, kind of walking along here kind of gives you the feel that you're almost walking on the deck. So that's pretty much what we're looking like right now. A couple little spots here. I still got to do all the railings and everything, but I won't do them until I get them on the ship. Now here you can see the grills over the vents, and then we got our compass tower, and you can see the little sign there. Hopefully that focuses a little. And it's there, but you can't really see it. So anyway, I'm gonna kind of put this stuff away, and then we'll go ahead and get started on this guy. Okay, so to do this, first thing we need to do is bend our housing. So we're just going to kind of put it on here and bring it down, and it already has the perforations in there, so it bends fairly easy. I'll go a little bit more there. Let's see how that looks. Yeah, that's about right. Okay, so I already put the one on here in between a second. I just wanted to figure it out before I actually did it. They are not hard, but they're very, you only get really one chance to move stuff around to the position you want it, so you want to be prepared, because if you aren't paying attention or you go too far, it will break very easy. So what we want to do, you have your little prop stick here. The side that has the line in it goes down, so essentially we're going to bend this way, and then we're going to put our prop stick up, and then we're going to bend that down, but I'm going to hit it with a small dab of CA before we close it, because once it's closed, it is closed. I just want to put a little bit, I want to spread that a little bit. And I'm going to use the tweezers to pull that shut. And then I'm going to hit it with a small amount of accelerator. And a little bit of glue went through there, so I don't want that. Okay. Okay, and now your frame here, I'm just putting a little bit on here, not much. It probably looks like I just put a whole bunch on, but I really didn't. And we just drop it right over the vent, essentially. And you want to make sure you're lined up with the other one, or that'll look kind of dumb. Okay, and then fold down to the position that you want it in. And I want mine partially closed. It's getting a little bit on the prop stick. And I want to get back against the ceiling there just a little bit better. Okay. Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and get the other ones done, and then we'll respray that and pretty much wrap up the video. So I'll be back. Okay, so went ahead and got the lighting in for the reciprocating steam house. And what this essentially was, I had to actually go on Honor and Glory and look, but unfortunately Honor and Glory you can't actually see into it, so I went on to Britannic, Empress of the Mediterranean, which is their sister game there, and I actually looked down inside of this, and this is essentially a big staircase that goes down to the engine. So my question was this vent. I didn't know whether to block it off or whether to let it lit. So it appears that I'm going to leave it lit because there was nothing behind it, and essentially what would happen would be they'd close these roof hatches if it were raining or whatever, and then it still had air able to get pulled in from over here. So I got the light shrouds on here, got the windows on, got the doors painted up. So this one's pretty much just about done. Right now I'm just finishing up a couple small things with this, putting the window frames on, and then I'll put the glass in behind it like we did with the other section. So these are from the KA sheets, and I found basically just taking 4 at a time seems to be my best course of action with it. I mean, there's only a total of 16 of them, so it's not really that big of a deal, but I don't know, I just like having more than one done at a time to work on and get in place, but they're fairly straightforward and simple, but I'll show them just for the heck of it, because yeah. Okay, so there's 4. So just like what I did with the other ones, we're just gonna put a dab of glue on our toothpick here, kind of get it around the window sill. Not a ton of glue by any means, and then pick it up and drop it on. And there we go, that's it. Super simple. So I'm gonna finish up putting those last couple on. I do still have to put the vents on top of that reciprocating engine room, and then I'm pretty much done with the boat houses for what I can do right now until we actually get mounted on the deck. I am excited because my mail just came and my engine mounts came 2 days early, so I can basically get this finished up and then finish up the wiring up there, which will be another video on the table that I was working on, because I just don't have enough room here to work on it anymore when it's all in one piece. So yeah, that's basically what the plan is. So the next video for sure coming out, I don't know if it will be, I'm going to try to film it all, but I have to go on a trip for business next week, so I'm going to be in Cincinnati for a week, and then when I return, I'm hoping that the deck chairs have arrived, and then I can finish off the rest of the placement on B deck, and then I can get B deck basically glued down and really start to do the funnels and start getting ready to really move into the final stretch on this build. I'm sure in the next video I'll probably do another float test, maybe even a sailing test, because at that point then the motors should be all running and ready to go. So that should be fun to see as well. So the other thing I have to start doing is painting up the lifeboats. So I'll do an episode probably just on lifeboats, because we'll probably go through some of the history of what happened on some of the lifeboats and who was on them and yada yada yada, and we'll talk about fun stuff like that. And there's decals that'll go on them and the paint work and the lifeboat davits, because I want to be pretty accurate with them. And I've actually studied Honor and Glory quite a bit, looking at how they looked, the brass that was in them, the gears that were in them, and how to paint them up. So I'm actually kind of excited to do them. I say that now, but there's like a lot of them, so I'll probably be about sick of them by the time we get to the end of them. But yeah, then we have our mast yet to go, and those are China 3D, but they're hollow, so we're going to be lighting them. That might actually happen in the video when the deck goes down. Just kind of planning this out in my head, how this is going to work, because obviously they're going to need to have wiring going to them that connects to somewhere that's getting power, so I got to figure out exactly how I plan on doing that. But I have time. So anyway, pretty much I think gonna go ahead and wrap this up for this episode. So I thank you all for tuning in and watching, and any questions or anything like that you guys ask, I try to get back to you as quick as I can. So I do appreciate the support and the subscribers, and there is, like I said earlier, there is still a video on there with a code for saving money on those lights and the portholes and all of the other stuff that's offered over at B&B. So check that video out if you haven't seen it yet. It's a deck chair video, and I cover the deck chairs in that one, and the benches, and the docking bridge. So all of that you can save some money on if you watch it. So again, thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.